Welcome to the tip channel. That is perfection. Hello and welcome back to the tip channel. Today we're going to take a look at putting in a tankless water heater. Now the unit that we're putting in is manufactured by a company called Rinnai, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But it is a model number CX199IN. Now this unit is 199,000 BTU. If those of you that follow my channel would have seen me put in a smaller electric unit, and this is done fine for everything in the house with the exception of tubs. Just does not put out the gallons per minute that we need. Also, it's not going to be high efficiency. This unit that I'm putting in by Rinnai has a 99% efficiency rating. Now, how's that even possible? Well, here's the reason. The reason is what's referred to as a condensing unit. Now, what this does is that a normal gas tankless water heater will heat the water up and just send the exhaust gases out directly. What the condensing unit does is there's a little water chamber inside of this unit, and the exhaust gases pass through this water chamber, and as it does, it heats up the incoming water. So it's already preheated before it gets to the heat chamber. So for this reason, 98% efficiency. Now, because it's 98% efficiency, this qualifies for a federal tax credit up to $600. The federal government is going to give you a tax credit for 30% of your project. Now, this is an expensive unit. This unit goes about $1,500. By the time you get your pipes in, your valves, what have you, you're going to be $1,700, $1,800 in this unit, even if you do it yourself. Naturally, if you hire a professional, it's going to be a lot more expensive. Now, I've chosen this location in my garage. First of all, it's an exterior wall. My garage is heated. I do have a furnace in here, so it maintains about 65 degrees so inside of here. I don't have to worry about pipes freezing. My water pipes are very, very close. We have the exhaust vent location going into an exterior wall, and I have a gas line already for a furnace. So very convenient for me to set it up right here. I am going to use my electric unit just as a point of use. My wife has a sink right above this that she uses 20 times a day. So that point of use on the electric, I'm going to leave into place, and it also gives me a little bit of a backup. I've got a couple valves set up that I can turn a couple valves and actually do my entire house if I have another problem with this Rinnai in the future. Now, in this area of my garage, this is where a duct comes through, so my ceiling's very low. What I've done is start sort of backwards, if you will. I've got my exhaust vent to the outside already into place, and we'll show that to you next. But I've kept this up just as high as possible so I can keep my unit up as high as possible. Typically, you're going to mount this unit and then do your exhaust run. Now, this unit you can exhaust through either a 2-inch or a 3-inch pipe. Now, as you can see, I'm only about 3 feet away from where I'm going to be exhausting. So I chose to use a 2-inch. Now, the Rinnai exterior vent comes set up for 3, so you will need a 3-inch to 2-inch reducer to get you started with the PVC pipe. Now, this is Schedule 40 PVC, normal pipe, just like you're doing with plumbing. The exhaust gases coming out of here are already cooled down by going through that water chamber. So the PVC pipe works great for that, no problems whatsoever. What we will be looking at, however, and keeping in mind this is only a condensing unit, is that the exhaust pipe, we're wanting to slope it back 1/4 per inch towards the heater. What's going to happen is that the hot gases from the exhaust is going to go out, they're going to meet the cold air, and as they meet the cold air, it's going to condense that, and it's going to come back down into the heater, and there's sort of an overflow that will run a drain line for any excess water. But if you're not putting this unit in, don't do the 1/4 inch slope on the exhaust. That's only for a condensing unit. You probably want just the opposite. You want it to go towards the outside so that all of that water will go outside instead of coming inside. Now, air intake, we do not want to slope it towards the heater. So I'll probably kick it up about a 1/4 inch per foot, just in case there's any water in there. We won't get that from the we won't get that to the inside. We're getting ready to do our air inlet and exhaust for our Rinnai tankless water heater. Now there's a lot of different configurations that you do, and they can cover a lot of that in the manual. Basically, I park my box fan here, and I don't want pipes hanging out the wall with a chance of knocking them off. So I've chosen this unit, which is actually made by Rinnai as well. Now, the way that this works is that you have an air inlet and an exhaust, and your air inlet is grabbing air all the way around this piece, and then your exhaust is naturally pointing right out. Now, this can be installed 3 different ways. You can go this way, you can go this way, or you can go this way. Okay, do not install this way. Basically what you're doing is, here's your exhaust, it's coming up and your air intake's pulling it right in. I've chosen to go this direction simply because I like that exhaust port being as high as possible so that I'm pulling in nice fresh air to my unit. Now, in choosing my location, I figured out inside where I wanted to be at, and I took and drilled 2 holes out. This unit actually requires them being about 5 5/8 apart. And I took a 3/16 drill bit and I drilled completely through the wall so I know exactly where I'm at outside. And I'll drill on the outside and I'll drill on the inside. Now, here's the thing. I've got a dryer vent and I've got a vent for a bathroom right below it. Both of those you do not want to have right next to your heater unit. Reason being is, naturally, if you're taking a shower in the bathroom, that moisture can come out and pull inside your heater, and likewise your dryer, if it's throwing lint out, can come over and collect in the unit as well. So I'm about 6 feet downstream of those 2 items. Now I'm going to drill some holes on the outside with about a 4-inch hole saw. Now I'm only drilling through siding and a foam board, so a real easy drill. If you're going to be drilling through wood, I would suggest, instead of just using a hand drill, go to a right angle drill. A lot better control so that you're not jerking your wrist out of place. First step of hanging your Rinnai tankless hot water heater is the mounting bracket. In case I'm on a wood wall, so I was able to screw anywhere. If you have the flexibility and you've got a home with a standard 16-inch center in between of the studs, these last 2 holes are perfect for 16-inch center. So if you have that flexibility to screw it into a stud, do so. You get a nice hanging. Now, this is sort of almost temporary. There's going to be additional screws that go in the top of the unit and also the bottom. So we've got a lot of anchor points that we can hit with this unit. Now, this thing is a beast. You may want to get somebody to give you a hand. I can tell you, whenever I was younger, I used to be able to pick this thing up and put it on my shoulder and go anywhere you want me to with it. I still can with the empty box. Seriously though, mounting bracket we have leveled. It's ready to go. Our unit is ready to hang on to that. How convenient. You don't have to hold this thing up and try to screw it into place. You just hang it right on the bracket. And it is a beast. Wow, how nice is that? It is a beast. All right, we have our Rinnai unit hung on our bracket. Now, The wall mounting bracket's about 17 inches wide. The bracket on the heater is only 7 inches wide. I really like that. The reason being is right now, if I need to, I can slide my unit left to right about 5 inches out center. The reason that I like that is because I'm going to do black steel for my gas line run. Now, I could have used Ward Flex, it'd been 100 times faster, but I'm in a garage situation where things are being moved around. This might get bumped. I like the idea of black steel. So we started out using the black steel. Now, a couple of things that you want. Number one is you want a union right around the heater unit. If in the event something happens to this heater, they need to disconnect the plumbing in regards to the gas, take this union apart, and you're good to go. Also, a valve, and again, right close to your heater. If a technician comes to check it out, first thing he may want to do is shut the gas off. He doesn't want to be looking all through your house for a gas valve. Right here's our shut off. Now, this is what's referred to as a drop. Now, the reason for the drop is that if there's any moisture at all in your line, that's going to drop right down inside of this. Now, I like about 6 inches for my drop. So I have everything set up on this side. I have everything set up on the last side. And then my last piece of pipe, I got a dimension on. I'll go to the lumber yard tomorrow morning, get that cut. That'll finish up my gas line. And that should end up exactly where I have it set now. And then I'll finish my PEX piping. Now, to do this, a few things that you're going to need. A couple of pipe wrenches. Now, I like everything nice and tight. I use about an 18-inch long pipe wrench. You want 2 of these to tighten everything. How tight should you make your fittings? I've always been told you tighten it as tight as you possibly can. And then you go a quarter turn more. Now, if you can get that quarter turn with your hands, reach back and put your foot against it. It'll go. Anyways, nice and tight. What I sort of look at is that if you're buying your fittings from the lumber yard, it's going to be threaded about 3/4 of an inch. Normally, when you're putting this in there, it'll thread in and have about a 1/4 inch of thread left, and you know then you're pretty tight. So anyways, very, very tight. Second thing is Teflon. I prefer to use Teflon paste. I don't like Teflon tape. The reason being, the Teflon paste acts as actually a little bit of lubricant, so it makes the fittings spin together a lot more easier. And I've put thousands and thousands and thousands of joints together and never had a leak with this. If you want to use Teflon tape, make sure you get the Teflon tape that's made for gas. So Teflon tape made for gas, or Teflon paste, which I prefer, a couple of 18-inch long pipe grips. And then the last thing that you need is leak detector. And what you're going to do, this leak detector has a little foam ball on the end of it. You're going to go around all of your fittings. And this will make little bubbles if you have a leak. So go around every one of your fittings, put that on. If you don't have any leak detector, you can mix up some like Dawn dish liquid and water and use it. Again, it will form the bubbles if you have a leak. And actually, there's leak detectors too, if you want to buy one. But anyways, our gas piping, we'll finish that up tomorrow, and then we'll take a look at hooking everything else up. Now, I've just completed a dry fit on my pipes for the venting coming in and my exhaust for our tankless heater. Now, before I actually glue this, I need to do a couple more things. This unit only, again, is made for condensation. So what we have is a 1/4 inch drop on our exhaust pipe towards the heater. What's going to happen is the hot gas is going out, meeting the cold air, is this is going to get some condensation, which is going to come back down into our heater. And this has a little tank inside of it, and this is preheating the water. So only the unit that has the condensation, we have this 1/4 inch drop towards the heater. Now, the air inlet, they said not to slope towards the heater. So just to be on the safe side, I've got a 1/4 inch slope going back to the exterior. Any condensation in this area is going to go back outside instead of coming inside. Basically, everything is going to be glued with the exception here at the heater. They have given us screws, which I'm going to assume are stainless, and we just put the screw in there to attach it at the heater location. Now, again, only this unit. Before I actually put my exhaust in here, I'm going to pour 10 ounces of water into the exhaust port. That's going to fill up that chamber in here that's doing the preheating. So we need this for the starting point. After this, the unit will produce its own water inside of that tank by using the hot exhaust gas. Now, if in the event you're a longer run, I've used 2-inch Schedule 40 PVC. You can use 2-inch or 3-inch. If you're a longer run, you may want to switch to 3-inch. Now, the exterior piece was set up for 3-inch, and that's where I put my adapter from 3 to 2. If you're going to use 3-inch pipe, then naturally put your adapter here at the heater versus at the other end. The next step that we're going to do with our tankless is our water hookup. Now, we're going to start out with what is referred to as isolation valves. Now, what is isolation valves? What do they do? Why are we using them? We're going to explain all of that. Basically, what we're looking at is that, first of all, these are made by Rinnai, and I do like the way that they're manufactured. Where this attaches to the unit, you see this has a piece that will come right up and spin on. There's a little washer that goes in here. So if we ever need to remove this unit, very easily we can spin this back off and disconnect the water from the unit. What is an isolation valve? Well, basically what it does is it isolates the tankless water heater from the rest of the water in your house. So if you need to service this, you can shut this unit down and still have cold water throughout the rest of the house. So it's going to isolate this heater, but it does a lot more than just that. And what I'm talking about is that with the tankless water heater, eventually you're going to get a buildup of scale. Now, it's just like your coffee pot. Occasionally you'll take and run vinegar through your coffee pot to descale it. The same exact thing is going to happen with the tankless. Now, we will be installing a scale filter so that we take some of that out, but occasionally we're going to need to do a descaling to this unit. So, what this valve does is, first of all, this main valve shuts the water off going up into the tankless. But it also does one more thing. As you turn it sideways, it also opens up this gateway to this port here. This is also another little valve which allows the water to come out here. Now, this is actually your access for descaling. And this is a normal hose bib. And you can then descale your unit very easily. So the isolation valves makes it very easy to do the descaling process, that you don't have to tear a bunch of stuff apart. So you'll shut the valve off that goes into the heater. You'll hook up a hose to this, and then you'll turn this valve on, which allows the water to come out of the heater and where you can start your descaling. Now, the next part of this is what's referred to as a pressure switch. Now, this pressure switch, and keeping in mind the old tanks had a little prong that came out of them, and they did both temperature and pressure. With the tankless, we're not concerned with temperature. What we're concerned with is pressure. So this is a safety valve. Let's just say, for instance, something goes haywire in here, and instead of only heating the water up to 120, it goes up to 200 degrees. There's going to be a tremendous amount of pressure in your system. I mean, you could have a faucet on your kitchen sink blow apart or something. You could get scalded. So this relief valve you definitely want, just in case your pressure gets too high. This will release the pressure. At this point, we have our isolation valves into place. Now, at this point, I do have both valves shut off. I will turn them on once I have water on. We'll want to run some water through this unit before we actually fire it up. But at this point, I've got the valve shut off. Now, these are what's referred to as quarter turn ball valves. And what I'm talking about is it only takes a quarter of a turn to turn these on or off. Now, with the gas or with the plumbing, when you see the valve across the line, you know it's off. When it's with the line, it's on. So right now I have these two valves shut off, and I've taken the time to open up my ports for my descaling, and just to make sure that these are shut off as well. So we have those shut off, we have these shut off, and now we're ready to start connecting some supply lines to this. We have the pop-off valve, which attaches right to the isolation valve. Now, question, if you're in an indoor area, you might want to run this outside. This is in a garage area, and I'm thinking if I'm having a pressure problem, I probably want to see that. So whether I hook a line to this for drainage, I don't know yet. But basically our two valves are into place, and next up we're going to switch to PEX. Now, don't get me wrong, I love to run copper, but with the PEX, it is absolutely so easy that a 4-year-old can do it. Now, with the PEX fittings, you simply push things together. So, very simple. With the PEX fittings, what we're going to do is be using crimps and a crimping tool to do that. If you're going to use the shark bites, then my suggestion would be, whenever you're ready to shove your pieces in, take a magic marker, take a second, and put a mark about 1 inch down. Just so when you shove that in, you know you're in all the way. Now, we will be using on the threaded fittings to get started. I will again be using the Teflon paste. What we want to be a little careful of at this point, though, is we want to take the time and take a paper towel or paper rag and take and wipe the inside of it off. We don't want that Teflon paste going inside of the heater. Next up, we're going to add a filter to the system. Now, this particular filter is called Scale Cutter, and you can find out more about it on scalecutter.com. Now, this isn't like a carbon filter that you would have in your home. This is made to take out scale. Now, this unit will stay into place, and there's an interior cartridge in here. They say once it gets down to the bottom here, it's time to replace this piece. So just that center piece inside of this will be replaced. You don't have to put this in your system, but keeping in mind, by putting this in, it's going to be a lot longer between times in descaling this machine. So that's definitely going to help us some. Now, at this point, we went ahead and got our filter all hooked up. We shut the water off, got everything connected. All of our valves are on. And I want to point out that at this point, this thing has air inside of it. It's an airlock. So what you want to do is run a faucet to get that airlock out of there. At this point, we're ready to fire this up. I'm not quite finished. I still got a condensation drain to do, which I will cover, but my wife's getting a little antsy up there for some hot water. So we're going to go ahead and fire this up. In regards to the electrical, pretty simple. It doesn't pull a whole lot of amps, just a normal outlet is fine. And I do have mine on a surge protector. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and fire this up. When you first plug it in, you're going to see set, S-E-T. Now, those of you that are very tech savvy and you want to control this from your phone, go for it. I'm old school. I want to control it from here. So that's what I'm going to explain. So we see set. Now, we see set and we want to step through to make sure everything is set properly. So priority button is first. We're going to tap it. And next is displaying natural gas. Now, NG stands for natural gas. In my case, I have propane. So we don't want natural gas. If we did, we would press the on and off button if you have natural gas. In my case, I have propane, so I want to change that. And LPG. So there we are for propane. I'm good with that. So I'm going to press the on-off button to accept that. Next is going to display indoors. IN is indoors. You can also mount this unit outdoors. Naturally, if you're in a warm climate where you don't have to worry about freezing. In our case, we are in. If we weren't, we would use the up and down arrows to choose out. We're okay with the in. So it's now blinking LPG and N. That's our selections that we chose. And now we can go ahead and accept that. And it's going to display 888. That means that the initial setup is complete. And isn't that pretty cool? I mean, before in the past, if you bought a unit that was natural gas, you would have to do a lot of conversions for LP. In our case, just a matter of hitting a couple buttons. How nice is that? So at this point, our initial setup is done. So we're going to go ahead and turn the unit on. And right now it's set for 104. I'm going to go up just a little bit. I think about 120. And there we go. So this unit's now ready to work. We just finished our condensation drain. Now I have my drain running outside, and the manufacturer wants what's referred to as an air gap. See, I have 2 inches in between this two. The reason for that is that if this drain were to get clogged up, instead of it backing up into the heat tank, it would overflow onto the floor. So just sort of a protection, if you will. There's a lot of different ways to do that. You can take it out into a pump, what have you. What they did say is not to put it into an air conditioning drain. Now, they didn't say why. I remember when I was a child, I would ask my mom why, and she said, it doesn't matter, just do it. And I would say, but Mom, you do it. And then she would come back with, don't do as I do as I tell you to do. Never made any sense to me, but you didn't argue with Mom. So, how did the project turn out? What? I'm kidding. It's the tip channel. That is perfection. I hope you found this informative, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.